In today's lesson, we're going to learn about some tips and rules that you should follow when you are recording your audios. For most of you out there, you may not be getting the right audio results when you're recording. You may end up with some background noise, your voice is not clear, and you may have wondered how you can avoid getting extra sound in your audios. So I will be talking about all of that in this lesson. But if you do know how to professionally record your audio, then this may not be the right lesson for you. So first, let's talk about the environment that you are recording in. For most of you, it's inside your house. Maybe it's your bedroom, a separate room, and it's just something normal that you use to record. So not everyone has a studio, but I'm going to give you some tips today about the room that you're recording in. It doesn't matter what type of room it is because there are just some things that you need to follow in order to get a perfect audio. So first, I want you guys to analyze the room that you're recording in. Is it an empty room? And if so, are there any windows? So sound bounces off the walls when we speak in an empty room. When you try saying something in an empty room, you can already hear the echo. So if you can hear it like that, then you can imagine what that sounds like inside your recorded audio. So the first thing is to not record in an empty room and instead try to record in a room where there is a lot of furniture. Because furniture or any other object is going to absorb the bounced audio so that you can avoid getting an echo in your audios. The type of furniture is important. You're not looking to fill the room with reflective objects, but objects that can absorb the audio. So this can be a couch, a pillow, a cushion. It can even be a bed. So a lot of people end up recording in their bedroom because of all of these soft objects that absorbs audio. Rule number 2 is to take a look at the amount of windows that you have. So again, windows have glass on them, and glass is a reflective thing. So your voice will end up bouncing off from that window, unless it's like a special window, but for most people, it's just a regular window and it's made of glass. So when you speak, your audio is going to bounce off that glass and back into your microphone, causing an echo in your finalized audio. So if you do have a lot of windows in one room but have less windows in another, it's a better idea to move into the second room where there isn't that much windows. So once you're in the room that has less windows, you want to make sure that those windows are closed. If possible, close your curtains so that your voice doesn't bounce off from that reflective surface. So close those curtains, close the window, and have your room filled with soft objects. If you do not have the right furniture, let's say your room is full of cupboards, then you can just throw in some independent soft objects. Get some pillows, toss them around the room, stuffed animals, anything that can absorb the sound and give you a cleaner audio. If you're going to be recording audio professionally moving forward, then you can just soundproof that room. So soundproofing involves getting some sort of foam and putting it all over the walls or any reflective surface. So this is what the material looks like, made of foam. There are different types out there. So you just have to go to your local store, ask the store clerk about these, and they'll give you some options. So these type of materials are best for smaller rooms, but if your room is too big, then you can just try the furniture option. So this is the material that they use for flat surfaces. And there are some other ones for windows and doors. So for doors, they use foams like this, placed in between. There's also these ones that go underneath the door. And some expensive versions where it's like a cover that goes on your door. So again, you have tons of options. You just have to see which one is better for your budget. Now let's see how we can soundproof windows. You can use the same foam that you bought for your doors for the windows too. You can also get acoustic insulation glass. These will cost you a bit more. And we have like these cover things that cover the window and the area around it. Again, depends on your budget. Now that we have the right environment, let's talk about technology. So first of all, you're going to need a microphone to record your audios. If you don't have a microphone already, then it's best to do some research on the different brands and their functionalities so that you would be using your money for something practical. So there are tons of different mics out there. We have all the different shapes. In the end, they all record audio, but we have like studio mics, we have lavalier mics. And depending on what you plan to do with this mic, you would be making your purchase. So the most budget-friendly microphone out there would be the lavalier microphone. And they're the tiny ones that usually clip onto your clothing, and they have a really long cable. So you can use it for your camera, your phone, your laptop, your PC, and so on forth. So that's the best microphone that you can get if you don't have a microphone yet. And then once you want to pursue this audio recording in a more professional way, you can upgrade to a studio mic, which usually looks something like this. Studio mics can be a lot more expensive than lavalier mics. So if you don't know which one to get first, get the lavalier one because it's more versatile and it's more budget friendly. Later on, you can just upgrade to any other microphone. But studio microphones do give a high quality audio compared to lavalier mics, and that is exactly why they are so expensive. So once you have your mic, you're going to need some sort of foam to go on top. Most lavalier mics come with the foam. It's actually called lavalier. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but they usually have these guys on them. But I've seen some microphones don't come with this foam, so make sure that you buy one before recording. Putting this on just reduces the amount of background noise and only captures the primary sound. So it will capture less wind and less of whatever that is happening in the background. Now again, even when you record with a microphone and the foam, you will not get a perfectly clean audio. You're just trying to reduce the amount of work that you have to do in post-production. So don't expect a clean audio with the right microphone and the correct foam on top. And if you wanted to film yourself as well, like you have a camera set on a tripod, these guys are great because if you wanted to record with the camera's built-in microphone, if your camera is not that close to you, you will get more of the background noise and less of your actual voice. So just plug these microphones in, and it doesn't matter how far the camera is away from you because these guys have a pretty long cable. So now you've got the room, you have the microphone, and you have basically soundproofed your room, either using some foam or just some other furniture. Now let's see how we can prepare our voice and what are some things that we should avoid before recording. So the first thing you want to do is to limit caffeine intake about an hour before recording. So have your coffee, your tea, or any other drink that has caffeine, even energy drinks have that. You want to have those drinks 1 hour before recording. The reason why is because caffeine in general disturbs the mucus production and can make our throat feel dry. So you are going to find the need to constantly clear your throat and your voice will just not be as clear. So that's one of the first rules of recording. The second rule is for times when your voice is not clear. For those moments, a simple glass of warm water is going to help you a lot. You could infuse it with some herbal teas, but the simplest format is just warm water. You can replace it with your regular water when you're recording so that you can get a clear voice for your audios. You can also try mixing a little bit of honey with your warm water if you want a better result. The third item is for times when your voice isn't loud enough. So you never want to scream into your mic or just shout at it. And sometimes we feel like our voice is just not coming out the way we want it to. At times like this, try to yawn and stretch your vocal cords. Yawning is a pretty simple thing that we all do, but at the same time, it stretches the vocal cords, and you will find that after yawning, your voice will be louder and more clear. So try doing that next time you feel like you're not getting the right voice from your throat. Tip number 4 is to always breathe when you're recording. This sounds obvious, but taking deep breaths between your recordings, especially when they're long, is going to make sure that your voice does not shake, you don't stammer, and you just get a clear audio. So yawning, breathing, these are all important. They sound really simple, but they really help. Tip number 5 is to always have a script written for whatever you're recording. Even when it's a short recording, sometimes our mind just wanders off to different places. We're thinking of what to say next, and this can distract us from what we're saying now. So have a piece of paper next to you and the points written. You can just write every sentence or just the key points that you want to make. And that way you are more focused on what you're actually saying rather than what you're about to say next. So a script is really good for you to have. So now it's time for recording. There are 3 tips that I wanted to share with you guys now that we got the right room, the right voice, and the right equipment. So you want to keep a distance of around 5 to 6 inches when you're recording. So your mouth shouldn't be too close to your mic and not too far away. We had an experiment with that in a previous lesson, but it's important to have an average distance from your mic so that you are getting less background noise and more of your actual voice. So 5 to 6 inches distance. And depending on what type of mic you have, the distance can change. If you're working with these microphones, 5 to 6 inches is good. But if you're working with these guys, then you can go closer because there is already a space between the microphone and this cover. But if your microphone doesn't have these covers, then 5 to 6 inches. Tip number 2 is to always redo with full sentences. If you were talking and then mid-sentence you said the wrong word, instead of starting over from that word, start over from that sentence. Because when you're editing this, it'll be hard to stitch the two together as your vocal levels change when you're redoing that sentence. For example, if this is the sentence that I was saying, and instead of saying this, I ended up saying this. So it's rain today. I messed up the word raining. Instead of continuing from raining today, I need to continue from the beginning. So I have to say it's raining today again, so that later on when I'm editing, there isn't a noticeable jump. Because naturally your energy levels change when you're doing a redo. So if I redid this from raining today, from this point on, the way that I recorded it is different from the way I recorded raining today. So if I put these 2 different recordings together, it will not sound like a full sentence. And I will get something like, it's raining today. So it's not exactly smooth. I'm going to get a jump, and that's pretty noticeable. So instead of having it's raining today, I should have it's raining today in one flat line. So always redo from the start of the sentence instead of mid-sentence. The next tip is to always check your recording system before recording. This may sound obvious, but a lot of times a recording system will maybe have an issue due to the settings that you've applied. For example, on Mac, you have to choose the sound option down here. But if I didn't check before recording, I may be on maybe a different output, and this will result in me having a muted audio. So always check your system, make sure you're on the right output. I'm sure Windows has something like this. And always test to see whether or not there is audio going inside your microphone. Record a test audio, make sure that there isn't any hissing sounds, any buzzing sounds, and your voice is not getting cut off. And that way, by conducting these little tests, you're going to make sure that after a maybe 2-hour long recording, you get the proper output and not a muted audio. So those were some tips and tricks for recording your audios in a more professional way. Moving forward with the lessons, you can use these tips to record the right tracks for the practice lessons. So I hope you guys enjoyed these tips, and I will see you guys in the next lesson.